The most common crustacean in your garden is about ½ inch long. It lives under damp rocks. It curls into a ball when you touch it. You've probably stood on hundreds of them without noticing. Its closest relative fills both your hands. It has 14 legs, 4 sets of jaws, and compound eyes made from nearly 4,000 individual lenses. It lives in complete darkness at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, at depths where the pressure would crush an unprotected human body in seconds. It is the size of a football, and the football-sized one is the small version. Now imagine you are sitting on the ocean floor at around 2,300 feet below the surface. No light from above, temperature hovering just above freezing, and something is moving toward you, slowly, deliberately, covering the ground with the patience of something that has never once needed to hurry. This creature's body is roughly the length of your forearm. Its shell is hard enough to withstand pressure that would bend steel pipes. It is a giant isopod, and it is one of the least extreme examples of what the deep sea does to small creatures. Here's what should genuinely bother you about this. The deep ocean is the most hostile environment on Earth. Near freezing temperatures, crushing pressure, almost no food. By every rule that governs life on land, nothing should be large down here. Large bodies need fuel. Fuel is what the deep ocean has almost none of, and yet it produces the largest versions of small creatures on the planet. Not as a fluke, not as an accident, as a logical inevitability, the direct result of physical conditions that have been running the same optimization for hundreds of millions of years. The question is not just how they got big. The question is, what law of physics turns scarcity into scale? And why that same logic is operating in places we have barely looked. This is not a video about monsters. It is a video about logic. Specifically, the logic of an environment so hostile that it breaks every rule governing size on land and then replaces those rules with something stranger and more precise. The most food-scarce place on Earth does not produce the smallest creatures, it produces the largest, and it does so with mathematical consistency. We are going deep, literally, through the science of size, the logic of cold water, and the evolutionary pressure that turns ordinary crustaceans into something that should not exist. Bathynomus giganteus shares a biological order with that garden woodlouse you already know. Same body plan, same armor, same curl into a ball defense. The confirmed record is around 20 inches, roughly the length of a standard ruler plus your hand. Some individuals go further. Think about that gap for a second. The same creature, scaled up by a factor of 20 to 30 times. But the giant isopod is not alone. If you want to talk about the extreme end of what deep-sea gigantism does to crustaceans, you need to meet the Japanese spider crab, Macrochera kempheri. It lives off the Pacific coast of Japan at depths between 500 and 2,000 feet. Its body is roughly the size of a large dinner plate, but its legs, those long, jointed orange and white legs, extend outward up to 12 feet from tip to tip. That is wider than a standard car. It weighs up to 42 pounds, heavier than a 2-year-old child. Put a Japanese spider crab in a room with a regular shore crab, and you are looking at something from 2 completely different planets. The shore crab would fit in the spider crab's claw. Now imagine that spider crab walking across the ocean floor in the dark, slowly, patiently, covering ground with those impossible legs, sensing vibration and chemical traces in the water. It is not fast. It does not need to be. Nothing down there is fast, and nothing, for the most part, is going to bother it. The weird detail that never leaves you. Giant isopods have 4 pairs of jaws working simultaneously. Not one set of teeth, not 2. 4 interlocking jaw structures designed to pierce, shred, and pull apart tissue. They are built to dismantle things. Scientists once placed a dead alligator on the ocean floor as an experiment and observed giant isopods taking it apart with mechanical efficiency within hours. But here is what most people never think to ask. The size is not actually the strangest part. What is strange is why it happens at all. Because the rules that govern size on land do not apply down here. Something in the deep fundamentally rewrites the biology, and the mechanism behind it changes how you think about evolution itself. That is next. We know what they look like. We know what they can do. We still have not answered the question that should bother you. What law of physics produces this? And what is it doing in the 80% of the ocean we have never seen? That answer requires going one level deeper. The deep ocean is one of the most hostile environments on the planet. Near freezing temperatures, around 39 degrees Fahrenheit, crushing pressure, 0 sunlight, which means no photosynthesis, which means almost no plant-based food. What little nutrition exists either drifts down slowly from above, dead plankton, marine snow, fragments of decaying matter, or arrives in rare, enormous packages. A whale falls to the ocean floor and becomes, for everything living nearby, a sudden feast lasting months or years. This is the world that's selected for gigantism. Not in spite of the harshness, but because of it. The first factor is temperature. In cold water, everything slows down, especially metabolism. And for a creature whose body temperature matches its environment, that is not a death sentence. It is a gift. When your body barely burns fuel, you do not age the way warm-blooded things age. You just keep going and growing. There is no fixed adult size for a crustacean, only time. The more time, the larger the animal. The deep ocean has nothing but time. The Japanese spider crab may live for up to 100 years. The giant isopod's metabolism is so slow it can go years without a single meal. Not as an emergency survival mode, but as its default setting. The deep ocean did not give these animals a slow metabolism as a consolation prize for the cold. It gave them a slow metabolism and then watched what happened when nothing interrupted it for 100 million years. The second factor is oxygen. Cold water holds more of it than warm water. More oxygen means larger bodies can sustain themselves without burning out at the core. The deep ocean is quietly, systematically removing every ceiling that keeps things small. The third factor is predation, or the absence of it. On a coral reef, being large makes you visible. It costs energy to maintain that size, and there are enough fast, aggressive predators that large, slow-moving invertebrates would be easy targets. In the deep ocean, the predator landscape thins dramatically. The giant isopod has few natural enemies. The Japanese spider crab, once fully grown, is essentially immune to predation. When there is nothing hunting you, the biological cost of being enormous disappears, and so the brake on size simply releases, permanently, completely, with nothing left to push back against it. Biology, when freed from the pressure to replace or compete, does not stay the same. It grows. The deep ocean is the longest-running proof of that. Scarcity, it turns out, does not limit scale. It selects for it. But we still have not explained why they look like that. Why the armor, the compound eyes, the 4 jaws. The size is one thing. The design is something else entirely. A body designed for this life does not look like a body designed for reefs or rivers. The armor is not for show. It is built to withstand pressure that would crush steel pipes. The compound eyes are not for seeing color or detail. They are for detecting the faintest movement in total darkness. A light source, a chemical trail, the distant signal of something edible drifting downward. Every feature is an answer to the same question. How do you survive in a place where food arrives once in a generation? The Japanese spider crab solves the same problem differently. Those enormous legs are not for speed. They are a feeding strategy. A body that extends 12 feet in every direction does not need to move to hunt. It turns a stationary animal into something with the feeding radius of a creature 3 times its size. The sensory hairs along each joint feel for movement, chemical traces, anything edible drifting past. The crab does not chase food, it waits for food to come to it. These creatures have also been around for a very long time. Fossil evidence places isopod, relatives on Earth over 300 million years ago. The giant isopod genus Bathynomus is thought to have existed for at least 160 million years. They survived whatever ended the dinosaurs, and at that point they were already 200 million years old. They are still here now, moving through the dark, at the bottom of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, doing exactly what they have always done. Perspective check. Isopods were already ancient when the first dinosaurs appeared. Let me give you the single fact about these animals that has stayed with me since I first read it. A giant isopod in a Japanese aquarium once refused to eat for 4 years and 2 months. The aquarium staff were genuinely baffled. They tried different foods. They adjusted the water temperature. They consulted other aquariums. But they eventually gave up trying. Then it died, not from starvation, but apparently of old age. The animal had simply decided that the offered food did not meet its standards. 4 years, 0 meals, mildly inconvenienced. Now for the part that should keep you awake at night. Not everything in the deep ocean grows large. Deep-sea fish, for the most part, trend small. The pattern belongs specifically to invertebrates, crustaceans, and certain mollusks because they never stop growing. A fish reaches its adult size and stops. A crustacean just keeps going for as long as it lives. In the deep ocean, that can be a very long time. The deep ocean did not produce one rule for all life. It produced a rule for the body plans that could use it. There is something quietly humbling about a giant isopod. It has been alive, in essentially this form, for longer than complex land animals have existed. It survived every mass extinction on record. It does not migrate, does not compete, does not rush. It sits at the bottom of an ocean that most humans will never see, processing the dead, recycling the nutrients, maintaining a food web that we depend on from the surface without even knowing it is there. It is not a monster. It is a masterpiece of patience, built by an environment that had all the time in the world and no reason to hurry.